Good afternoon, guys. I'll tell you what, Ian, I feel like spring today. It's just all of a sudden, it's just hard to believe that like 2 weeks ago it was like -5 or something ridiculous like that. So today, guys, something quite interesting I think you're going to like. We're going to play around with grid tie inverters. So for those of you who don't know what a grid tie inverter is, quite a lot of people that are watching this probably do, but for those that don't, it's basically a very simple system. All you need is solar panels and a grid tie inverter. The inverter converts the energy from the solar panels into mains voltage, and then it just plugs straight into the grid, like literally straight into a wall plug like this. Sounds a bit dangerous, right? But looking a bit more into this, actually, they look quite interesting. There's been a number of videos, there's quite a lot of videos on YouTube about this, but basically these things are at the point now where they've probably been around like 10 years or something, and they're actually quite cheap now to buy. But of course, you know, are the cheap ones any good? Or, you know, should you be sort of going to the higher end ones that are used on sort of proper commercial systems? And that's kind of where I'm going to kind of experiment. So here in this box, we've got something that's kind of mid-range, I would say, probably like a middle of the road type thing. It's not a ridiculously expensive one. These are just solar panel leads, MC4 with MC4 connectors on. It's called an Ecoworthy, oh blimey, I can't remember what it's called now, but yeah, Ecoworthy-600 watt. It doesn't have the part number on there, so let's open it up anyway. Right, that's all the cellophane off. So before I get it all opened up, and obviously we're going to test it, you might be wondering, what's the point? Why have you got yet another inverter? Well, basically, the thing is, my system here is obviously an 800 watt inverter there with the battery set up, always self-sustainable. So this is like an off-grid setup. Now, the thing with this is that I'm finding this is just running the shed. So basically, we're hardly using any energy in the shed most of the time. So these batteries are practically charged up all the time. So what this is meaning is that the energy coming in from my solar controller, my charge controller, the Victron one there, the MPT 120, a lot of this energy is actually going to waste, because what happens is, I've mentioned this before in another video, is that if the sun's out, you know, the charge current's pretty high, and I'm running into the shed, I'm sticking things on charge, but by the time the end of the day's come, everything's charged and the shed doesn't draw that much power. So we're kind of probably wasting a bit of energy. Also, I've got 400 watt of panels on the roof here, and really the charge controller is only a 20 amp charge controller. So I can only really convert about 300 watts of that energy anyway. So there's like 100 watts that's kind of missing if I was to max the panels out, which probably realistically probably doesn't happen. So what I'm hoping to do with this is to actually use some of that excess power and feed it back into the house. So effectively, when the batteries are charged in here and, you know, the shed isn't on, normal kind of day, we're getting power sent back into the house, which obviously it can be used. And to be honest, it's going to get completely swallowed up because of all the stuff that's on in the house. Now, I know there are some proper systems that will do this for you, like Victron's, you know, Multi Plus. I don't think the Multi Plus actually does it in that way, but there is a system that does. I think it's either a Quattro or, I don't know, there's some pretty high-end Victron stuff, but so's the price. It is quite expensive. So it's inevitable we're probably going to look at that eventually at some stage, but I just wanted to explore the sort of cheaper end grid ties and see if we can actually get it, you know, integrated into my system here, and then you kind of have like this kind of hybrid setup. Right, so I haven't unboxed this yet, so this is the first time this will be opened. So who knows what we'll find inside. So first thing we see, we've got some kind of waterproof connector. It's like an interconnector, and this, no surprises really. I think this plugs into one side of the inverter, and then effectively it's just like a mains cable. And then the bit you've been waiting for, we've all been waiting for. These are like the standard fastening for solar panels. I think you can connect this to the actual panels. This is waterproof. It's supposed to be waterproof. Yeah, nice bit of kit actually. It feels pretty heavy. It feels pretty well made actually as well, just on first look. So you've got two sides to this. You can put two panels in, so ideally you'd have two 300 watt panels, one either side. But I'm going to try running it on one. I don't know if it's going to work that way, but we can certainly find out. So there you go, guys. Wvc-600, that's what the model number is. And you've actually got two outputs on here because you can daisy chain these together, I think. So that's basically what it's going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and rig this up to my system over here. I'm going to have to disconnect my charge controller. I'm going to have to disconnect that because as much as I'd like to, you can't really run two MPPT things on the same in parallel because they're just going to confuse each other. That's what I've kind of read anyway. I was hoping that you would be able to run the two side by side, and then if the solar charge controller that's charging the batteries, you know, didn't draw any more current because the batteries are full, then this would obviously kind of kick in and allow it to work. But it's not going to work like that. So we'll have to do it a different way. So let's have a play around then. So first thing I'm going to have to do with this lead here is to stick a mains plug on there so I can plug it directly into the wall. Right guys, I've just been battling with cables. I've kind of used their, don't know what you call it, like their interconnect thing. It's a bit weird. One of the screws just threaded as I was tightening it out, so I don't think it's that great to be honest, but I'm going to use it anyway. So you can see it's wired up. Right, that's put back together, and then I just realised I'd missed that out. Ah! I'm not taking that apart now, so job for another day. Right, let's get these MC4 connectors wired up. Right guys, so we're getting closer. I've just wired up the panels, so I've disconnected the panels from the charge controller and just used one of these chock blocks. I know guys, it's rated for, I don't know what it's rated for, but it's rated for mains voltage and probably 5 or 6 amps anyway. We're not going to be pushing that sort of level, so that should be fine. This breaker's off because that's the power from the panels, and then these MC4s are just going to go junk in there, and I just need to get there's the mains cable here. Now one final little trick I'm going to do, and I'm going to see if it works, is I just picked up one of these as well. A lot of you guys will know what these are. So this is basically just a watt meter, straightforward power meter that you can plug in. Now the good thing is, apparently these work both ways. So yeah, it'll measure power not only from, you know, the stuff that you're pulling, but also pushing back into the grid. So I'm just going to plug this in somewhere else actually, just to test it out first. Stick it down here, so let's plug it in there. Ooh, nice blue screen. Nothing's come up on this. I couldn't see it then. It's so, you can't view it from any angle. That's a bit better. So if let's plug this charger in here and see what happens. 1.1 watts, about what you'd expect from just a straightforward little USB charger, whatever it is. So here's my grid tie cable. It's not quite as bad as a suicide cable, but it feels pretty dodgy. Right, so that's plugged in there. Actually, I was going to do it over there, but I think I might just plug it into that same socket I just used for the power meter. Right, now this isn't actually turned on at the moment. Because I still need to trip that breaker up there. But those connectors are in anyway. Right, so moment of truth. Now there is a little LED on here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the panels on first and then see what happens on there. Right, so we've got a red light, which red means protection, so presumably that's protecting anything from coming out there. I ain't going to touch that though. I'm going to plug it into here and then do it the other way. Right, here goes guys. Ready for the smoke. Right, that's on. Right, looks like we're getting something. Right guys, for some reason this thing just freaked completely when it was plugged in. You saw it say overload, so I don't know, maybe it just doesn't like being fed the other way. It's kind of annoying because I've got no way of seeing if this is actually putting energy back in now. I have got my little meter here, see this is currently the draw from the house, just basically on one of these little things that you just clamp over the positive lead. That was sitting on about 800, but it's gone up to 1 kilowatt now, so something's obviously turned on in the house. But it seems like it's difficult to see on that because there's a slight delay, and I'm also not sure how much we're going to be getting in from the pretty dark, rainy day out there. Let's give it another go anyway. So we've got 1100 on there. We've got, this is turned off, so I can turn the solar panels on. Solar panels on, you get a red light on there, and then if you flick this, turn that on, this then sort of kind of thinks about it for a bit, and then you get like a green, that's MPPT searching, and then when it goes solid, it's locked on the peak. So up here, ideally we should see something change, but check this, nothing's getting warm there. She's stone cold. This hasn't even got a fan in it, this one, so it must be quite efficient or something. Right, well, it's gone down to 676, but I don't think that's anything to do with I don't think there's anything to do with this. I mean, that would be great if it was, but there's no way that's going to be putting out that amount. So let's flip this off quickly and just see what happens. Oh yeah, so they instantly went up 700. So let's turn it back on again. So we're on green now. So the MPPT's solid, down to 700. I don't know if that was just coincidence. What we really need is a blooming bright day to test this out properly. It's been fantastic yesterday. Right, so it's gone down to 676 now. I don't know. Again, this thing just updates because it's doing it over RF. It's updating, I suppose, as it gets a signal or as it processes the thing coming from the other end. But my guess is we probably are somewhere around, I don't know, like the 80-90 watts area for this time of day. So perhaps that is kind of right. So yeah, just thinking a little bit more about this, I need to try and find a way of wiring this up to actually, so I can use both, but obviously not at the same time. It's almost like I need sort of some kind of switch over system for that. And then, yeah, because I'm just standing there and waiting for this cloud to pass, but I just don't think it's going to. Every now and again you get a blinking light on there, like a flashing green light on there, which is showing that it's searching for the MPPT, so it's searching for the peak. But on here I can't really see if it's actually doing anything. The fact that that's blinking, oh, it's gone off now. That's a bit weird. What's happened there? It obviously means it's off when it's doing that. So it's dropped to such a point where there's probably no power. PV voltage must have dropped. Let's have a look. Voltage was about 35 volts, but I think there's just not enough oomph behind it. It's pretty rubbish out there. Right guys, it is the next day now. You can tell I've changed my clothes. Basically, I think there was a problem with my meter because I was thinking about it. I was kind of going around in circles thinking, why wouldn't this be working? And I tried to reset this meter. There's like a little kind of thing in the middle, like a reset button. I reset that, didn't make any difference. It was still saying overload. It was reading voltage and everything fine, but I think there's something that was a bit suspect with this, because when I ripped off the protective film over the screen, there's still scratches. There's like loads of scratches on it. So I think this was like a used one. And then going back through the Amazon comments, this is where I bought it from Amazon. I mean, it's only cheap, it was like 10, 12 quid or something. But yeah, going through the comments, somebody was saying, oh, my meter was freaking out. It looked like, you know, I've been sent a used one or something like that. So alarm bells started ringing. So I ordered a new one, just another replacement from another seller. And that turned up today. And check this out. So now it's actually showing a wattage rather than this overload thing. So that's pretty good. And you can cycle through all of the different things here. I think somehow I'm still working out how to use this thing. I think you just press function. Yeah, that's it. So there's the voltage. It's quite useful being able to see the actual voltage fluctuating a little bit there, and your sort of amps coming in. So virtually nothing. 200 milliamps going in. 0.3 watts. Actually, that was a low, and then it records the high. So that's quite neat actually. You can actually see your high and your low maximums and minimums. And so keep going round, don't know what that is. And then the current power input. So 53 watts. It's about right for a really shocking day here in the UK. So yeah, not a lot at all, but at least now I can see you know, what we're actually sort of potentially putting back into the grid. This thing isn't changing though. This power meter isn't actually changing, not noticeably. So I don't know what all that's about, but it's not changing as you turn on and off the inverter. I thought it was, but I don't think it was. I think it must have been just other loads in the house. But looking more into that online, people were saying similar things when they were using this to try and sort of measure, you know, with grid tie inverters connected, and they were saying that when you turn the inverter off, nothing really changes with the meter. So I don't know if any of you guys know how these work. Something to do with power factors. I don't know, maybe it's the spikes that it's not registering or something like that. But this meter is not showing any difference when I turn on and off this grid tie inverter. But presumably power is going into the grid because, you know, we've actually got 45 watts going in there. So who knows? The real way to test this, I suppose, is to actually turn off a load of loads in the house and then kind of go and look at the meter outside and actually kind of turn everything off. But right now Sarah's here, so I'm not going to start turning everything off in the house because that would be really inconvenient. So I'll wait till she goes out and then I'll probably just shut everything down and then see if we can actually kind of, you know, pinpoint something going in. So I'll probably save that to the next part of the video. But that's the update so far. Right, it's not the next day yet, guys, but it is a little bit later and the sun's out. Blinded ya? So let's show you what's happening or see what's happening, I don't know. So 80 watts going in. Let's see if we can get 0.3 amps. 0.3 watts is the lowest. Highest we've seen today, 107, and it's only just started getting sunny and it's the end of the day as well. So but I just thought I'd show you this because it's obviously creeping up a bit now. So you can see quite a bit of power going in. The sun's actually kind of gone beyond the cloud at the moment, but I was noticeably seeing this dip as soon as the sun comes out. This was basically dropping, so it's definitely doing something. It's definitely working. So that is basically the tumble dryer has just started doing its thing, so it's kind of, you know, gone up a bit. But hopefully when that sun comes out beyond that cloud, which doesn't really look too hopeful at the moment, we'll be able to see this drop. Right, it's starting to get a bit stronger. So you can see it dip down a little bit. Not a lot at the moment because there's still got a bit of cloud, but probably be able to see from this shadow the brightness of that just on this window ledge. As this gets brighter, it should dip down. It's getting quite strong now. There you go, it goes down. Dipping right down now. This load here, this sort of 1 kilowatt where it's sitting at, I think it's the underfloor heating that we've got in the bathroom, which is kind of comes on and off as sort of time goes on, but it's kind of set on sort of like a schedule. You can see, yeah, we're going under cloud now, so this, you should start to see this go up again. It's quite addictive watching all this. I mean, this is only, you've got to remember guys, this is only like 2 panels as well. This is like 2 solar panels, 1 600 watt inverter. So realistically, we're only going to be probably, you know, achieving 400 watts max. But it's quite interesting. That was a big one, really big cargo plane. I love it when those come past. When they take off from here, which is rarely, kind of one probably takes off like, I don't know, once an evening, like a FedEx or a UPS, maybe a couple of times an evening, and they really make this shed shake. The house, you don't really hear it, but when you're in the shed, it absolutely shakes the hell out of it. Right guys, apologies for all the kind of additional bits to this video. I've just kind of thought I'm just going to keep adding to it and just kind of give you a good, hopefully a good idea of what, you know, these grid tie inverters, you know, can do. Only on a small setup with obviously just the 2 panels that I've got. So yeah, today is Easter Saturday. Yesterday was Good Friday, so that means obviously tomorrow is Easter Sunday. So happy Easter everyone. And I've just been playing around today, this morning, because I've got some bits to go and get from the shop, but this morning I just whizzed out here quickly and you might notice that the panels have gone from the top of the shed. So what I've done is I've actually temporarily, just for an experiment, just put them on the roof of the house. And I say I've put them on the roof of the house, I've just basically just rested them up there. Good thing about my roof is it hasn't got a massive pitch, so these actually are just resting there fine. I don't think they're going to fall down, but hopefully not, especially on top of the cat. But yeah, what I wanted to see, because obviously now I'm pumping power back into the house, I'm finding that obviously it's not enough power, so I need all the power I can get. And because the sun rises sort of somewhere over here at the moment, and it kind of comes across the sky, you know, throughout the day, I'm missing out on a lot of sun in the morning. So the idea is get those panels up there, and how I've done it, I've actually used a couple of extension cables, not too long because I didn't want to go mad. Now I haven't finished this, I'm just about to whiz off to the shops to go and get a proper solution for this, but basically under here in this box I've just stuck my grid tie inverter in there, just for the moment, just so that it doesn't get wet. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of those, you know the thing I built the power wall in, just like the small battery box that I've got, I'm going to get one of those, yeah, and I'm just going to whack it on here. And then basically this inverter is outside. If anything happens to it and it blows up, it's not going to affect anything. And my wire basically just runs through there, a bit Heath Robinson at the moment, but goes into the shed. And then I've still got the watt meter connected, and it just goes into down here. But you can see at the moment, it's terrible. It's like 10 watts going in. So that's just... yeah, the day is awful today. It is the most overcast day I've seen this year. But hopefully there's nothing wrong here, because that does look a little low. I've seen it up to about 50 watts today, but it's not been sunny at all. It's very dark. Yeah, so that's where we are at the moment. I'm gonna whiz to the shops. I've got to get a few bits. So yeah, you get a bonus Twizzy ride, guys. The roads are slightly dry. That's a good thing, because in the wet this thing can get pretty it's not too bad, but if you drive it like a nutcase then you're going to slide around. Right guys, so quick heater update. Remember I made the heater for the Twizzy. If you haven't seen that video, go and check it out. But yeah, it's working well. Yeah, under here I've got this like, and I found it on eBay actually. It just basically covers up the hole where a lot of cold air was coming through. So when you've got this heater on and you've got this bit down the bottom there, it actually keeps the footwell quite nice. I love these underground car parks. Right, we're here. What's the joke is you actually need to pay for a parking ticket as well. They should make parking for all electric cars free, and they should actually have electric car charging points in this car park. Favourite shop. It isn't really, but it's just like super convenient, this place. And there's one thing in it that I want. Hopefully they've got it. Yes. That's what we need, one of these bad boys again. Right, that's that sorted. Now I've got to brave the supermarket on a bank holiday weekend. Right guys, that weren't too painful actually. And I actually picked up some flowers for Sarah, because she's not eating chocolate, so she's not having an Easter egg this year. Right guys, I'm back. Sun's out, and I've actually installed the inverter in here, and I'm not going to open this because I had trouble fitting it all in, to be honest. And when I've got a bit more time, because I haven't got much time at the moment, I'm going to probably make proper, maybe like inserts for the actual sockets, because in here these cables just go in and they're just plugged inside into the inverter, so it's a bit dodgy, and it doesn't. I'm not sure if this is going to be 100% watertight, but I mean all this stuff inside is actually waterproof. The inverter's meant to be waterproof, so you know it'll be better than it being outside. So anyway, good thing is there's a little bit of sun, so we're getting over 100 watts now, which is much more encouraging. So I think it's looking pretty good. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this up because it's been a bit of a long one. When I edit it down, it probably won't be as long as I think it is. But so yeah, guys, have a good Easter, and I'll catch you next time.